An unbearable week of news is upon us again. Thousands are in the streets and thousands are being killed in the Islamic Republic of Iran as the internet blackout enters its fourth day. Jerome Powell is under investigation by Trump's DOJ. Pakistan is handing out life sentences to journalists who don't even live in the country. And Australia takes a crack at hate groups. That and the JD Vance Corner will be here on the Foreign Report. Let's do it! Welcome back to the Foreign Report, your weekly foreign policy show that gives you the gory details of geopolitics with hopefully some laughs along the way. I'm Seena, your foreign policy curious host. With us is our co-host, Travis Irvine, Columbia Journalism School grad, director, comedian extraordinaire.
And Ohio University grad. Let's not forget where it all started.
T-Seps, I'm FPZ. Man. Make sure you sign up for that newsletter, foreignreportshow.com, theforeignreportlpn@gmail.com if you got something that you want to tell us or ask us, whatever. I mean, okay, wow, we know what we're talking about at the top of the show here, Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say, I've been posting more. I think I'm going to try to do that more.
I've been loving your videos.
Thank you.
It's Seena live in the flesh, which I rarely get to see these days.
Yeah. The footage and videos and images and messages coming out of Iran are so upsetting and heartbreaking. I actually bought a small hardware device to block social media from my phone to lock me out. The brick. This is not an ad, by the way. Even though they should.
Hold on, did we get a new sponsor?
Yeah, they should sponsor us because this has helped keep me sane over the last week. I got this thing, and I have to go and tap this thing that's on my fridge if I want to unlock Instagram or something.
Wow.
And it's been helpful.
What a great invention. They should sponsor us.
They should sponsor us. If you're listening, Brick, come on over. I'll talk about it. You saved my life. No, you didn't, but you saved my brain from being very stressed. I think it just got crazy, and I want everyone this year, with how crazy the news is, to think about how you're regulating yourself. It's extremely difficult, especially I could just speak for myself as an Iranian American. I can do virtually nothing other than talk. And that makes you feel hopeless a little bit. And normally what helps me through this show and how it makes it bearable is I can learn and intellectualize, and I'm learning with you, and we're all learning together. And, I use my law degree to try to figure things out, and Travis and I try to make you laugh, and, this is it. But it's really hard. It's really, really hard.
Oh, look at that. You started laughing to keep from crying.
To keep myself from crying. But today, Travi, I wanted to talk about, well, first, we all know what's happening on the ground, but there's a big question that's been coming up within the diaspora, within the Iranian community, which, by the way, we're a real friendly group to everyone else outside the community. Inside the community, we treat each other like absolute dog shit. And so you could tell by, I think, my last video where I'm talking about the Shah's son, how many of the pro-Shah people have come out of the woodwork and just started yelling at me, which is, for me, hilarious. Since the beginning of the show, I have developed a pretty thick skin, so I'm okay about it now. But the question we're going to try to answer today, Travis, is if the Islamic Republic falls, then what? And who, if anyone, could lead what comes next? That's the question we're asking today. And this is where we bring in Reza Pahlavi, the Shah's son. And, the Shah means king. Are we aware of that?
Yes.
Is that something I need to define?
Recap for our listeners. This name sounds familiar. I believe we've talked about it a few months ago.
Yeah, this guy is he's been trying to be the transition person, president, whatever you want to call him, for a while now. And especially it came up after the Women Life Freedom Movement in 2022. But what you're seeing today is we've gone from protest to uprising to revolution. Okay. Right. Started off when we talked with Samira, it was not in Tehran yet. It's in Tehran now. It is, the government has blacked out the internet. They're killing thousands of people now.
Yikes.
It's not a dozen or even 100. It's thousands.
And when we recorded last week, you said it was in the little towns, the smaller towns around Iran.
And it's honestly amazing that in a week, we went from over 60 to maybe, I think it was like 60 to 200 is what I was seeing last Tuesday, to now here we are on January 13th. And I'm seeing numbers of 10,000, 12,000. Some people are saying 20,000. It's hard to say. It doesn't matter really what number it is because we could debate it. It matters that it's happening and that it's thousands and that it's awful. And these people are still going out and protesting. And we need to support that. You just be aware of this happening. Right. And you can... Before we get into this whole Shah's son thing, remember, you can hold multiple things in your head at once. You could hold the fact that you may not want the United States or Israel to go in and intervene, and you want the Iranian people to rise up and overthrow this regime.
Right.
So I want to talk about the Shah's son, because this is who has come up a lot in being the person that could be the bridge after the Islamic Republic potentially will fall.
Right. And the question is, like you said, when the old leadership goes out, what replaces it? Which is a very popular question in several countries right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in Venezuela is the vice president. If there is a chance where, there's three big pillars in Iranian society. There's the people, the students, if you will, the people and the students, right? And then there's the bazaris, the merchants, and then the clergy, right? Right now you've got the people, you've got the bazaris, the merchants. They're all against the government right now. Both, it started with, it's kind of like if you have an argument with your spouse or your partner, it's not about the dishes. It's not about the toilet seat. It's not about cleaning up. It's about the underlying problem. And right. Yes, this started off about economics and inflation and all that stuff and affordability in that country and like hyperinflation. But it really is about the corruption of the regime, the oppression of the regime, the murderous kind of hostage taking that they've been under for over 46 years.
Sure.
So now you've got those two groups, and now elements of the clergy, which are not a monolithic group, are now splitting off. Now, if all the clergy kind of get together and they say, hey, we're done with this regime, then you could have a situation where the army or the IRGC or the army takes over. And that's a real dicey move as well, because you don't know what's going to happen with them. How are they going to operate? How are they going to operate things after that? There is a chance, if there is some sort of kinetic intervention by Israel or Trump, that they would strike the IRGC or they'd strike the military installations where they are headquartered, and that would weaken them in some cases, and then they would just kind of see what happens. Mm-hmm. No one thinks there's going to be boots on the ground. It's a giant country. There's 80 million people there. This is just not even feasible to do that.
Right.
So those are kind of the options. Yeah.
Is there a preference for a clergy takeover or a military takeover? Or, I mean, I remember last week you were talking with our guests, and I mean, is there even a potential of a people takeover over there?
Yeah, I think preference is a luxury that they don't have right now. I think the probably the best thing is this whatever fake person that is in my mind of someone that's within the army or the regime that is a defector that never liked it in the first place, that the people have some sort of name recognition with, that have some level of trust with, and that they are committed to the peaceful transfer to a democratic power. The whole reason for that is they would be able to control the military. And that's the thing. Whoever comes in, the military has to accept them as a leader as well.
Sure.
And so that's like what we're looking at right now. And then Pahlavi, Reza Pahlavi, the Shah's son who was deposed in 1979, he presumably would have the trust of the people. He would have the power to kind of come in and the trust of maybe different parts of society to jumpstart the country and make sure social services and institutions are still running. And presumably the military would follow him. I don't know. I have no idea. But that's the presumption that a lot of people are making. That is the hope that a lot of people have. And frankly, we got to listen to that. And we got to understand that these folks in Iran have had a boot on their neck for 46 plus years. And they need to survive. So, woo!
Right. Well, I mean, look, it sounds like a Reza Pahlavi for a disaster.
All right. So let's get into this guy. And I'm gonna talk about him. I'm gonna talk about his dad, and I'm gonna talk about his granddad. Okay.
Woo!
So
it's a lot of Shaws, but go ahead.
Let's just refer to them as grandpa, dad, and son. Does that sound good?
The Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Let's do it.
There we go. So let's go back 100 years to when the Pahlavi dynasty began. Grandpa Reza Shah. He was not born into royalty. He was actually a military officer. And in the early 20th century, Persia, right, was weak and divided, very influenced by Britain and Russia. Things were not good.
As we've covered on this show, everything is Britain's fault.
Yeah, that's true. Reza Shah rose through the ranks and eventually seized power through a coup in the 1920s. He crowns himself Shah and launches an aggressive modernization campaign. Roads, railways, schools, a centralized state, all of that accelerates under him, which, Travis, that sounds great, right? That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I wish we had some of that in Ohio, but go ahead.
You know, it's people, there's a sense that the country is growing. They had all of these things, but with that modernization, with that kind of centralization, you have to have a little bit of authoritarianism.
Okay? Right, yes,
you got a little taste. Political opposition was crushed. Press freedoms a little limited. Okay. You can't have people say mean things about you. Okay, you can't have that. And power was concentrated in the state and in him. But then World War II happens, and that changes everything. Reza Shah and Grandpa had kind of cozied up to the Germans. He thought they were a reasonable people, I guess.
I bet he just did it because he hated the British so much. But go ahead.
Probably could. But the British, to your point, and the Soviets did not trust him or like him. And especially over his kind of cozying up to the Germans in 1941, they invaded and forced him to abdicate. They also took over the oil fields, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well.
Still a little bit of history repeating, but go ahead.
And so the West removes him, and who do they install? Dad.
Oh.
His son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, Dad, was the last Shah of Iran. And at first, his rule was shaky. He's a young guy. He's like a little spoiled brat, in a little bit. He's inexperienced, but he's surrounded by powerful politicians. And one of those politicians was Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. And you may have heard this guy's name. He was a nationalist to push to nationalize Iran's oil industry. So you can imagine 41 happens, and then 53, or just before 53, he's pushing to have the Iran's oil nationalized. So the British are not happy about this.
Right.
But that inside of Iran, that made him super popular. Everyone loved this guy.
Oh, of course.
Everyone's like, I'm going to give you all this oil money. And so that wasn't nice when it came to Washington and London. The UK government controlled the majority of Iran's oil through the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, and the U.S. saw this as an opportunity to benefit by supporting British control. So in 1953, the U.S. and the U.K. backed a covert operation called Operation Ajax and overthrew Mossadegh and ended up strengthening the Shah's grip on power. This is one of literally the most important controversial moments in modern Iranian history, and these guys did it with $60,000 and no Facebook.
Whoa!
They put They put a bunch of stuff. There was a lot of media. They paid little protesters to cause a ruckus. They put news stories in the papers to get people riled up, and they sparked this coup.
Is this $60,000 in 1953 money?
Yeah, this is 1953 money. Yeah.
Right.
Still cheap though. But
what a coup! That's a good coup money. Right there.
But what's important is that this roadmap, this model for doing a coup.
Yes.
This was the first time the CIA has done this.
Yes. And it was replicated. That's why 1953 was so important.
They did it dozens of times. I mean, we don't even know how many times the U.S. has actually done it.
Africa, Central America, South America, Asia, you name it.
Yeah, it's funny what you're saying are not countries, but continents.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't even count the countries, right? Because a lot of those countries don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Said coups.
So after the coup, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the son, or sorry,
AKA
Dad, he ruled. He was very influenced by the West. He spoke French fluently. He was very European. He liked to bling it out. He had all this gold. You know, the G-Wagon was actually designed for him. All this stuff started eroding the Iranian people's trust in him. On top of that, we still had modernization happening. Cities were expanding. Education improved. Women gained rights. But political repression deepens. There's this group called the Savak, and it's a secret police that would go around and kill people. They would oppress political parties, and Iranians were very fed up with this because you started seeing their rights eroded. You started seeing pockets of instability. The economy starts getting bad. And so what's interesting is we live now in a state where Iranians have this thing called retrotopia, where people idealize the past. They idealize the sense of the time of the Shah. All the good times, but none of the brutal repression. And I think that's really interesting given where we're at today. And as the pressure mounted in the late 70s against the Shah, things blew up. People came together, the leftists, the liberals, the religious conservatives, the students, the workers, the merchants. And the Shah, sick, flees Iran. So in that vacuum, with a little help from the United States, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini comes in. So Dad leaves, and Khomeini comes in, who, by the way, had been exiled, and then he came back when the uprisings and the protests started happening, and he told Jimmy Carter, hey, it's going to be cool. Don't worry about it. I'm chill. I'll be really friendly.
And we know Jimmy Carter's chill. I mean, this is 1979. Jimmy Carter, the most chill president, maybe a little too chill.
Too chill. But there's classified docs that do show the Carter administration met with Khomeini because when things were going crazy, they didn't want a military coup to keep the monarchy in power, right? So Khomeini kind of got the blessing to go back in, and he made promises that obviously he did not keep. So the Islamic Revolution of 79 overthrew the monarchy and replaced it with the Islamic Republic. Woo. Dad dies in exile not long after that, and the Pahlavi family is scattered around the world. Now Iran enters the dark chapter they're in now, and, you know, they once promised, and my parents went through this revolution. They were in it. So many people.
That's why they fled to Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, and that was in the early 80s. So they went through this whole thing, tried to make it work to see what happens, and then you see when the dust settles, you see what actually is happening. And the promises for justice and independence were not there. And what ultimately it produced was a rigid clerical theocracy. My mom was the head of a geology department at a industrial company, and they came into her office and said, the men don't have to take orders from you. They can't be in the office alone with you. Oh, and here you have to wear this hijab. And she still went and did her job, and she would wear this hijab. She'd put a hard hat on top, and she would go into the mining caves and do her geology work. And then eventually it just became, not sustainable. Young people were getting conscripted into the military, and you didn't know if they were going to be, martyrs. So they left. Okay. We're now to the son. Reza Pahlavi, the Shah's eldest son, was just a teenager when the revolution happens, and he spent most of his life in exile, largely in the United States, which we know it always toughens you up when you come to America.
Right.
He hasn't ruled. He hasn't governed. He didn't command a political party. He didn't go to any sort of militia camp or anything. He didn't really work. Okay, so for decades, he was mostly on the sidelines, occasionally giving some statements, but really avoiding any sort of direct leadership. That changed in 2022 when Women Life Freedom, Zan Zendagi Azadi, that uprising happened. And as the protests intensified, the Islamic Republic's legitimacy weakens and the son becomes way more vocal. You start seeing a big media push around him. And you start seeing him making partnerships and meetings with Israel and other people. And importantly, he stopped insisting on a return to monarchy. Instead, he says the Iranian people should decide the system, monarchy or republic through referendum. That messaging has helped him gain attention, especially among the diaspora. So he's coming out and saying, listen, I will be a transition, and through a national vote, you guys can vote. Do you want the monarchy back, or do you want a republic? And just for context, in 1906, there was a constitutional revolution in Iran where the monarchy actually almost made it a constitutional monarchy, kind of like England, where you had the king, and then you would have an actual democratically elected republic there. But that did not work out because Russia came in and the Brits came in. No one wants it. No one wants the Iranian people to have self-determination other than the people of Iran. And so here are some, let's just say, pros of his return if he comes back. He's got the name recognition, okay? Everybody knows him. And that matters when it comes to diplomacy. That matters when it comes to the media, which is the name of the game now. He doesn't have any relationship with the Islamic Republic, so everyone will have that embedded trust, or lack of distrust is maybe a better way to say that. And so he's not linked to any of these corruptions. Mm-hmm. So third, for many older Iranians and younger ones, the Pahlavi era represents at least stability and secularism and a connection to the world, that retrotopia, that nostalgia that does help and matter to them. Because, again, you could talk about the Savak and how brutal they were, but you can also see how wonderful it was compared to where people are at now. So he also presents himself now as a symbolic unifier, not a micromanager, not someone that wants to take power. And he talks about transitional councils, technocrats, elections. He's saying all the right things. He's not saying that he wants to rule. Unless the people of Iran want to choose him as a monarch or a constitutional monarch, he's down to just be a transitional power. And so this is very powerful. Do you have any questions about that?
Well, I mean, should this man be trusted, judging what his grandpa and his dad did?
So that's the ultimate question. And the cons and the risks are involved is that he's not had any governing experience. He's not run a city, a party, a ministry, nothing. So, and then there's all the backing, U.S. backing, Israel backing. And especially after 1953, the perception is that the West is meddling again. So if he's too cozy with the West, then that also erodes trust. And then, of course, there's the hilarious polarization that's within our community. So some people, as I said, have that idealized view of it, but others view the Pahlavi dynasty as dictatorship, torture, monarchy, and dependence on foreign adversaries, basically.
Right.
And within Iran, there's a lot of ethnic and religious minorities. You've got the Kurds, you've got the Baluchis, you've got Arabs, and there's others that may be skeptical of a centralized figure tied to a historically Persian, very centralized top-down state. So the question is, can he convince them that a future Iran would be decentralized, inclusive, and democratic? Not balkanized, decentralized, but centralized in the sense of we are a republic, we are one country still. And that is very unclear still. So does he share power? Is he actually able to build these coalitions? Will he slide into authoritarianism and call it we're keeping everyone safe? I mean, again, this is all a strange conversation to even have because, again, there is no internet. There is a blackout. They are killing people in droves in Iran right now. But when that happens, in the past, when a few people died, the protests usually dissipated. Now people are not going home. They are still pushing. And I hope they keep pushing. I feel awful, and my heart breaks every time I open up social media. But I can only have hope right now for everything that's happening. And again, if you watch my little video on Instagram or wherever, I would take P. Diddy or Skeletor or anyone to run the country as long as it's not an Islamist kind of, fanatical, fascist, religious fascist regime.
Wow. Well, I was going to suggest your mom, the geologist, would be a better choice than P. Diddy, but let the record show you chose P. Diddy over your own mom to run Iran. But then again, that's the diaspora, right?
I think my mom would be a better revolutionary than a leader. I think we would drop her in with just a sword, and she would
Dude,
she would do some damage.
Geologists are hardcore, and that is a rock joke, absolutely.
So, I think this is where we're at. I hope this gives you a little bit of a primer. It's like a little bit of a surface level understanding of the history of the Pahlevis.
25 minutes to understand where we started and how we got here, and now we can all figure out where we go.
Okay, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, there's hilarious news that does affect the world out of the Fed, and we've got some other stuff like the Pakistan stuff that's talked about in Australia as well, and of course JD Vance. This is the Foreign Report, trying to make it bearable with Travis Irvine. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Gaslight, Travis Irvine. Oh boy, can we make it bearable, buddy? Can we do it?
We're gonna try.
We're gonna try our best. It is a tough one. Jerome Powell, man, a quiet man, a simple man,
an economist.
It's just
this is what they do. They speak very softly. They've got glasses. Just leave them alone.
You know what it is? It's the kid on the bus that's got the thick glasses that's sitting in the front, and he's just kind of like doing his homework, and then the bully comes on and he says, "What'd you say to me?" And he's like, "I didn't say anything to you." And he just starts beating him up, and he's like,
"No, what is it?
Protractor. You obviously used it all the time.
Yeah, I was very good at math once upon a time, but then someone invented the calculator, so."
And then I would write boobs upside down. Anyways, the U.S. Attorney in D.C. has announced an investigation into federal chair Jerome Powell to determine if Powell misled Congress over the cost of renovations to the federal. It's suing him like he would a contractor.
Right.
Led by Jeanine Pirro. Salt of the earth, Jeanine Pirro. It's another volley in Trump's longstanding pressure campaign against Powell, whom Trump feels should have cut interest rates long ago. We got a little clip.
No question about it. So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about $3.1 billion. It went up a little bit.
Oh, he just looked at him.
Jerome Powell's shaking his head. No.
I'm not aware of that. Yeah, it just came out.
Oh, take it out.
Please, I've got a piece of paper.
Yeah,
look at this. This is grandstanding. This is all planned by Donald Trump.
3.1, 3.2.
Oh, wait. Let's take it. Tim Scott. This is when he was lobbying to be vice president. How'd that work out for you, Timmy?
Very good. Very good.
How'd that work out? Oh, is Tim Scott in the cabinet?
No.
Is he in the cabinet? No, not in the cabinet even?
He got nothing.
He got nothing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure he's happily married now.
I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it's been
look at
built
this.
5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
Yes, I love it. This is contractor on contractor violence. This is like here's the bill, and it's like, yeah, but you're including another thing that we already built a long time ago. It's already been paid for. That's crazy.
Oh my God. And so Jerome Powell, I couldn't even believe this. Like the investigation launches, and this poor man has to come out and make a statement. Hold on, let me cue up a little bit of it here for you guys.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Get this man a glass of water.
Respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure.
This is wild.
The threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings.
Whoa.
Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. Charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation.
Oh!
I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike.
And he was appointed by Trump.
I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people.
Wow. Sounds like a grifter to me.
Sounds like a man who certainly did something wrong, but he doesn't know what it was, which makes me think he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, man. This is so crazy. And, of course, what's happening now is Republicans are pissed. I love it when he's so insane that Republicans are angry.
You're talking about Trump, so insane.
At Trump. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. This is so much fun to watch. By the way, the markets, I was talking to some finance guys that I know, and I was like, why aren't the markets tanking? Like, why isn't everyone going crazy when something like this happens? And my buddy was like, well, the markets actually have learned to react to actions, like actual tangible actions, and not the words, which...
That's probably good.
Well, right? You would think it's good, right? But it also inherently gives him the license to keep saying all this stuff. If, let's say, the markets were to tank because of this, then he would react. He would pull this back like he did in April with the tariffs. He pulled those back, right? Because the markets went nuts. So here's Tom Tillis from the Senate getting interviewed on his way to go vote, I believe, and he was asked about this. Tom Tillis, he is just the people that are in our feeds now.
You think the White House is trying to stop the independence of the Fed?
Somebody at DOJ. I mean, the president said he wasn't in the mix. Another example of amateur hour, as far as I'm concerned.
Should they drop the investigation?
I'm not going to get into that. What I'm going to do is drop any consideration for any board confirmation until it's done.
There we go. Whoa. So now
that elevator couldn't have worked any slower for poor Tom Tillis.
Well,
who hit all the buttons on this thing?
So Jerome Powell's term as chair ends in, I think, May or June, right? And then his position as a board member stops in January. So he could presumably stay till January. We don't know if he's going to do that or not, or he's going to resign. But this has got to get worked out in some form or fashion soon. I don't know if it's going to last. Senator John Kennedy, that very outspoken senator from Louisiana, said, another banking member, very bearish on the DOJ criminal inquiry of Powell, quote, my thought was, we need this like we need a hole in the head. He said, quote, I know Chairman Powell pretty well. I would be stunned if he had done anything wrong. So...
Oof. I mean, that's a lot coming from... I mean, that's your classic Southern senator right there. He only speaks in colloquial phrases and axioms. from the South. I will just add, by the way, Seena, I don't know if you've seen this as well, but ending the Fed, a long-time libertarian idea from your Murray Rothbards, your Ron Pauls. But what I did not know until this week when this all happened, when this indictment came through, is that this is also in Project 2025.
Get out.
Ending the Fed, and or what is more likely, what Trump will do is put a lackey in charge of it and perhaps do what he's basically done with the Department of Education and Linda McMahon, and that is phase it out, make it irrelevant, or just implode it from the inside, which is interesting because they just built all those buildings. So
yeah, who's going to be in them? Yeah, he'll probably make another ballroom.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Well, I guess one problem he's going to have is if he doesn't do this before November, he's going to have a problem with confirming a new chair or a new board member.
Absolutely. And if he does it before November, does this, like you said, put in action, which gets a market reaction and tank the economy even further. And then that's a death blow to any Republican chances of surviving the midterms.
I think you're even going to find economic problems before that because every month the job creation is going down and the unemployment numbers are going up. I mean, they're not going up a ton, but they are slowly going up.
Right.
And so that could ramp up. I mean, over the next 3 months, 4 months, this like Q1, Q2 kind of thing, the job's got to start getting created. Like, I get it. It takes time for your economic positions to kind of like, trickle through the market and stuff like that. But like, if you don't get anything done before these midterms, you're cooked, buddy.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the other thing that a lot of people have pointed out is that the economy was recovering until the tariffs and all of these huge actions by the Trump administration. Jerome Powell and the Fed, they were preparing to cut interest rates. And Trump was just mad that they weren't cutting them faster. But then as Trump's terrible tariff policies took place and the economy got worse, they couldn't cut interest rates because, at least not as far as Trump wanted them to, because then you risked tanking the economy even more, inflation, stagnation, all of that stuff.
What's interesting is like he could have still like this deal that he made with Japan is good. Japan's going to buy a bunch of our military gear. This deal with the UK is good. They're going to buy a bunch of our stuff. Like he could have done a lot of these trade deals without this like global tariff catastrophe, right?
Yeah.
So there is like these weird things that are coming up that I'm seeing as like would have been a net positive without the chaos.
Yes,
you know?
Yeah. He could have just let the economy continue to recover.
Yeah.
After the Biden administration left office and then take credit for it. And instead we are where we are. And now whatever it's going to happen with the Fed, we'll see if Murray Rothbard and Ron Paul are right once the Federal Reserve gets completely imploded from
the inside.
God,
that's going to be crazy. Let's move on to Pakistan here, shall we?
Oh, good. A country in better shape.
So, in their always wonderful reporting, Drop Site News has given us a glimpse into our possible Kafka-esque future.
Ooh.
I love that reference. In Pakistan, a number of prominent expat journalists, social media commentators, and former military officers were sentenced in absentia to life in prison for, quote, terrorism-related online activities. The state, sorry I'm laughing, but the state claimed they were promoting fear and unrest and were engaging in, quote, war against the state. This is so crazy. I don't know if you remember, but Pakistan has been taken over. They sent Imran Khan in 2023 to prison, and the military took control. And here's a little snippet from the Drop Site News article. Quote, one of these sentenced to life, journalist Wajat Saeed Khan, sorry if I mispronounced that, told Drop Site News that he was never served summons, never informed that a lawyer had been appointed to represent him, and was explicitly barred from retaining counsel of his own unless he appeared in person, an impossibility given that he lives abroad. The court-appointed attorney never contacted him or any of the other accused, according to Khan. The court has not released a written judgment, only circulated sentences via social media. I wonder where they got that idea from. While granting just 1 week to appeal without providing the actual order required to file one. Wajat said, they want us convicted without a judgment, without representation, and without the ability to appeal, Khan said. He described the trial as a premeditated, quote, a mockery of justice, with the judge acting as a, quote, judge, jury, and executioner all at once. Things always end up really great when that happens.
When the judge, jury, and executioner is just one guy, the same guy.
That phrase has never resulted in a positive result for anybody.
See, when the United States charges citizens of foreign countries, at least we go into that country and get that person and then bring you to court.
You know what?
On
You're
our
right,
behalf.
Trev. We're a classy country. We go in there, we dine in.
We're
we don't take out.
Charge you for bullshit, and then you're going to come here and clean it up.
We kind of do both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imran Khan, the former prime minister, is serving a 14-year sentence for corruption, and which he obviously claims is politically motivated. It's been reported that the conditions of his imprisonment are inhumane and illegal. Of course, the military regime has spent millions of dollars courting Trump, including nominating him for the Nobel Prize and promising troops for the so-called International Stabilization Force in Gaza.
Whew.
Okay, Pakistan. Thank you so much.
Right. Pakistan saw what Qatar did, and they're like,
let's see.
Go on.
What do we need to get him? A gold phone again? I don't know.
Right.
But in like weird, better news, but also kind of dicey, Australia has passed another hate speech law. And they already had hate speech laws. By the way, shout out to the Foreign Report fan that DM'd this to us on Instagram. Thank you for that. We love hearing stories from abroad, and we love our fans. So big shout out there. This new law lowers the threshold for the government to go after hate groups. Already hate speech. There are hate speech laws. Again, we talked with Professor Strawson about how hate speech is legal in America. Okay, it is protected. In Australia, it is not protected. So here's the thing. As a result of this new law that got passed, a neo-Nazi group is disbanding. They announced like the National Socialist Network in Australia has disbanded the neo-Nazis.
And they made a statement? They did a statement?
Made a statement. Yeah. They're like, we're done. We're disbanded.
Due to the lack of freedom of speech, we have a speech to make that we are done speaking. Thank you.
Yeah, we're done speaking. Thank you. So I was wondering, like, how does this decision get made? And it turns out the intelligence agency has to investigate. The Minister of Home Affairs has to then take that information, take that investigation, and then give a recommendation. And then they have to be, quote, satisfied on reasonable grounds that the group has directly engaged in, planned, or assisted in hate crimes targeted at people based on race, religion, or national ethnic origin. A lot of this is result of the, mass shooting that just happened.
Right.
And then after this, the Attorney General has to sign off on it, and then they notify the opposition leader. And then once the minister and the attorney general agree, the recommendation is taken to the governor general to formally sign the group into the prohibited list. And so that means if you do say stuff as a member of that group or you speak out like that, then you could be arrested. And the interesting thing here is that I thought this would be like maybe everyone would have a decision for this, but it is all nominated by one political party that's in power. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't think that would ever fly in America, but it is interesting to see how they're using hate speech laws there.
Yeah, it seems like it's a good time for us to finally book our Foreign Report comedy tour to Australia, where we talk mad shit about hate groups, and that one fan can come see our show.
Exactly. It'll be it's a private show. But yeah, I think that's super wild that that's happening there. Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that's a positive thing?
That's above my pay grade. That's for a New York University law professor specifically. Have her back on, ask her that question. I just hope you and I can finally do comedy in Australia now.
I think we need to figure out hate speech in America because it's resulting in actual physical crimes that happen in the real world.
Right.
Like speech of itself, right, is one thing, but speech also helps organize people. It helps motivate people. And we live in a hyper-information space now where We need to figure this out. We need to have, like, but I don't know. It feels weird because then in America, if we did it, Trump would immediately make Antifa. You and I would be cooked.
Oh, no. They'd drag us to the prisons in Pakistan.
What if it was Congress that voted? But then it's like, is Congress to be trusted? Like, I don't know.
I only trust Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna at this point.
Yeah. What do you guys think out there? What do the fans think? Let us know. I don't, this is a tough question. I think it's good that, listen, I think we all can agree a neo-Nazi group breaking up is great. We're all happy about that.
We'll never get their second album. It's too bad.
Yeah. It's a shame.
It's the worst boy band ever, though, I will say.
Oh, God. They're so aggressive. I don't know, but we'll figure this out. I'm sure we'll be able to talk. I love that we're able to talk about these free speech issues that are happening abroad that we can reflect on here at home. All right, Travis. I think we got to take another break, and when we come back, it's JD Vance time. This is the Foreign Report for Travis and myself. FPZ T-Sips. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Gazavi, your foreign policy zaddy, and T-Sips, Travis Irvine. Let's get into everyone's favorite segment.
Give me a chance, it's JD Vance. No, wait, he sucks.
Club remix, ladies and gentlemen. Seena, I got good news, I got bad news.
What?
Good news is a lot of JD Vance news this week. Bad news is a lot of JD Vance news this week.
Oh, no.
Yes, they let the little bearded boy wonder vice president ride in the big seat this week. He did his own press conference at the White House, Seena, and what a news week for him to get the big stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so terribly sad to announce that the news is terrible and JD Vance is not making it any more bearable. You would think at this time, after we talked about last week, he's a uniter. He's trying to unite the MAGA movement, right?
Sure, yeah.
So surely in such a crazy time where foreign invasions are happening and people are protesting in the streets, not just in our country, but other countries, you think JD Vance would go out there with some uniting words for our country, right, Seena?
Doubtful.
There you go. I have so many clips from this press conference that JD Vance did this past week, but I think we will just try to get through as many as we can, if that's okay with you.
Alrighty.
But before the press conference, JD had to do a little mingling with the good folks at Fox News, and we all know they like giving people the real deal, the real story and news. Let's hear JD Vance talk about Venezuela with Jesse Waters, a known American intellectual. Let's see what they had to say about the big Maduro takedown.
I don't know if I hate anyone more than Jesse Waters.
At this point, we like Tucker Carlson compared to Jesse Waters.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Okay.
Taking out a dictator in Venezuela. How does that help the average American?
Well, a few things, Jesse. First of all, what it means is we're going to be able to control the incredible natural resources of Venezuela. Which is
really?
America
Right, doesn't
in a few
answer
ways.
the
Number
question.
one, it allows us to put leverage on our enemies. Number two, it makes sure that if Americans need high quality, low cost power, we're always going to have access to it.
Not
What?
true.
The third thing is it does demonstrate American military excellence, which makes people afraid to cross us
all
in
three.
the future. Some of the best ways that you maintain the peace.
Well, I
All
looked at the
three didn't answer Jesse Waters' question. At
That's
this
true.
point, now I slightly like Jesse Waters more because he either on purpose or accidentally gave JD Vance a very hard opening question. JD Vance just fumbled like he always does. How does this help the average American? In the newsletter this week, I will also be sending a column to all our subscribers of that newsletter. A similar column is just like, how does the Venezuela invasion help people here in my home state of Ohio? And the fact is, you can't really outline how does it lower costs for anybody? Electricity. I mean, we talked about either on our live stream or last week about the crude, right?
Yeah.
From Venezuela. We don't even use that here anymore.
Yeah.
We can refine it in Texas, right? At the refineries that you mentioned. But then after that, we have to sell it to somebody. Who's going to buy this? Who's going to buy it? You? Me? Are you going to buy it, Seena?
It's, everybody wants a little oil. I mean, God, okay.
Is to make it clear that you carry a very strong sword if you ever need to use it. So I think it's good for us in a lot of different ways. We also have to remember, Jesse, this is in our neighborhood. This is not Iraq. This is not 7,000 miles away. This is in our neighborhood. If we cannot follow the basic principle, which has been a cornerstone of American foreign policy for 200 years, that we control our neighborhood, a lot of bad people are going to take advantage of it. What the President of the United States said is, in our neighborhood, the United States calls the shots. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it is again under the...
All right, I can't. Neighborhood does not equal hemisphere.
Yeah. It is so crazy. I like how it's like a display of military excellence. Who in the world has ever been like, you know who's got a weak military? The United States.
Right.
You know,
and
you know what military...
Don't you feel better about it? Your healthcare's going up and the food prices are going up and, electricity bills are going up. But don't you feel better with the big old sword that we have?
I don't even need healthcare. We've got bombs, okay? I don't need healthcare. I don't need clean food. I don't need clean water. I don't need clean air. I don't need any of that. I need a big sword so that everyone knows, don't mess with us in Venezuela. Oh, very far away, or
it's in our neighborhood. Actually, it's
our
close.
Neighborhood. That's down the street.
In the words of Homer Simpson, we'll dig our way out.
All right, where do you want to go next? God, that's awful. Go ahead.
So now let's get to this press conference that I did want to highlight. But the Jesse Waters clip is important. That's kind of like how it all started, right? That's how JD Vance entered the week from Venezuela. And then obviously after our show last week, we covered it on our live stream on YouTube. Check it out. But very tragic news out of Minneapolis. Protester Renee Good was shot by ICE agents. And again, we have people protesting in the streets in Iran, right? And Trump is tweeting or putting on Truth Social that we are with you. So surely he must be even as understanding about protesters in the street of our own country, protesting unpopular federal law enforcement policies. Let's see how JD Vance dealt with this tragic news out of Minneapolis regarding Ms. Renee Good.
Surely he's not going to call her an attacker or a terrorist or anything like that.
What happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile?
I love that he said this. You know why I love that he said this, Trevi?
Yeah,
let me dust off the old law degree here. Let me dust it off here.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
He just gave the ability for whoever, I mean, they're eventually going to get this guy arrested. They haven't been able to even investigate yet. Keith Ellison's been saying that they can't even get anything. But eventually when they do arrest him, they are going to be able to strip the immunity from him, and they're going to play this clip. Because you know what standard you use to have immunity? Is it reasonable for an officer, for a DHS officer, under the same circumstances to react this way? And you don't get to bring in your traumatized past. You don't get to use it.
Wow.
You don't get to say that you're sensitive. You son of a bitch. You don't get to do it. You're so stupid. You're such an idiot.
JD Vance has a Yale Law School degree, and your New York University Law School degree just busted his ass wide open.
He is so unconscionably, breathtakingly stupid that he said that this cop is so traumatized. There is every piece of DHS manual procedural stuff that you are absolutely not supposed to use deadly force when there's a fleeing, even if they're a suspect. And then you have to look in, would a reasonable officer, and by the way, that guy, right, was filming with his own phone switched hands to take out his gun to then shoot her.
Yep.
And he filmed himself seeing her say, "I'm not mad at you." And then you're going to tell me a jury is going to think that a reasonable officer under the same circumstances would think that person's trying to kill you? No. You're cooked. Wait, you better protect him. I saw the DHS guys help him move. You better protect him. Good luck.
Yeah, JD also seems to think that federal officers have immunity from state and local laws. They do not. That has never been the case.
Yeah.
I mean, criminal, you're looking either criminal or a civil lawsuit. Some law enforcement gets civil protections with qualified immunity. But even then, I mean, you're still prone to a lawsuit in some fashion or another. It's just pretty wild that our Yale Law School degree having bearded boy vice president does not know that.
Don't you think he'd be a little sensitive? Get the fuck.
That's why I preface this with, I've got good news and I've got bad news.
Oh my God.
The bad news is we have to deal with this guy and his idiocy. God. But at the same time, like you just said, he just gave the Minnesota.
He gave him a pathway, and it's so. Okay, now that my blood pressure is spiked, let's do one more. One more, or do you want to cut it off?
That's why I said I have so many clips. Let's see if we get through two.
Okay,
I think we just barely got through two. Folks, if you want to check out JD Vance's full press conference, feel free. I'm kind of glad we went with the Jesse Waters clip. Because Jesse Waters made him look stupid, and then JD Vance's own words make him look stupid thanks to your law degree, not his. Thank you, Seena.
Oh, my God. New York Law School, baby, represent. Oh, my God. All right, guys. Wow. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter. It's free for now. ForeignReportShow.com, theforeignreportlpn@gmail.com. Always free to email us. Send us a voice memo. We'll be back live in a couple weeks. I think maybe next week. But please look out and pray for the people of Iran. They are out protesting. They're being killed every single minute.
Pray for the people in Minneapolis.
Yes,
out
please.
On the streets.
And then, what's happening in Venezuela, too, they're having a huge crackdown as well. Their oppressive regime is still oppressive. They're even cracking down even harder since Maduro got snatched. So, I mean, it's just the best. Well, Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
Could old acquaintance be forgot? And something. I
don't remember any of those words. For TSEPs, I'm FPZ. Woo! Go get a good pump in, everybody. We'll see you next week.